When you think of a tax hearing, you probably picture something, well, kind of boring. Just a lot of numbers, dry legal talk. But what if that hearing suddenly exploded into a tense one-on-one confrontation with the judge? That's exactly what happened here. So let's get into it, because this isn't just a story about taxes. It's a real battle over power, procedure, and what justice even means. And right away, the plaintiff, DESSY, just drops this absolute bombshell. Think about that for a second. She's basically saying, forget the tax bill, my problem is now with you, the person running this court. That statement completely changes the entire dynamic of the room. This just got personal. So, you gotta be asking, right? How on earth did we get from a simple tax dispute to a direct standoff with the judge? That is the big question we're gonna unpack. We're gonna walk through it step by step, and believe it or not, it all started with something that seems pretty minor. Yeah, the first point of contention, the thing that kicked this whole drama off, it wasn't about money or taxes at all. It was a fight over paperwork. So here's what happened. The judge starts looking really closely at the credentials for the plaintiff's employee, but DESSY, the plaintiff, immediately felt like something was wrong. See, she had already been asking questions about the legal documents for the tax authority's representative, and she felt like the court was just completely blowing her off. And boom, that's when she drops the double standard bomb. With this one accusation, this whole idea of mistrust just floods the courtroom. She's basically saying the process is rigged, that it's biased from the get-go. This isn't just about documents anymore. It's about whether the game is even fair. And this whole argument over whose paperwork was legit, well, it quickly spiraled into a much deeper legal debate about a really fundamental idea called legal standing. So what in the world is legal standing? It's actually a pretty simple idea. It's your official right to even be heard by the court. Think of it like a ticket to the game. If you don't have a valid ticket, you can't play. You're just a spectator. And the plaintiff was basically arguing that the tax authority's lawyer didn't have a ticket. Okay, so this is where the legal nitty-gritty really kicks in. On one side, you have the plaintiff, who is insisting that the tax guy needs a special power of attorney. That's a direct, high-level authorization from the very top boss of the tax authority. But on the other side, the court is saying no, a standard duty letter is perfectly fine, the Supreme Court says so. This is a classic clash over how to read the rules, and a whole lot was riding on who's right. But hold on, the plaintiff wasn't done. She had another card to play. She argued that even if you forget about the whole ticket issue, the entire case against her was rotten from the very beginning. This was her trump card. She claimed the tax auditors were late, that they blew past a legally required deadline to finish their work. And her argument was simple. If you miss the deadline, the whole thing is invalid. Game over. In her eyes, that one procedural screw-up meant the entire case against her should be thrown out. Now, of course, the tax authority saw things very differently. They basically said, hey, a small delay doesn't just cancel everything out. For them, what really mattered was that the two most important steps got done. Did they deliver the result letter? Yes. Did they hold the final discussion? Yes. As long as those big boxes were checked, they argued the case was totally solid. So you've got both sides totally dug in on these really fundamental arguments, and nobody is willing to budge an inch. The whole hearing just stops. It grinds to a complete halt, and the judge has to step in. So to try and get things moving again, the judge basically changes the subject. He tries to break the tie by bringing up a higher, broader law that governs all government actions. It's like he's trying to hit a reset button on the whole conversation by zooming out to a bigger legal picture. So the judge lays out these three basic rules for any government decision to be valid. The official has to have the right authority, they have to follow the right procedure, and the decision has to be about the right stuff. But here's the kicker. The plaintiff immediately fires back, saying the tax authority actually failed on all three of those points. So that didn't help at all. At this point, you can just feel the tension skyrocket. The chief judge has had enough, and he draws a line in the sand. He makes it crystal clear who's in charge here, and basically tells the plaintiff, your fight is with them, not with me. It's a real assertion of judicial power. But it completely fails. The plaintiff does not back down. She stands her ground and says, nope, we're not moving forward 1 inch until you address my point about that duty letter. And that was it. That was the moment the whole hearing hit a brick wall. And that was it. Deadlocked. The hearing was over before it even really started. The arguments over the rules had built a wall so high that nobody could even get to the actual reason they were all there in the first place. So, what do we make of all this? This whole dramatic scene forces us to step back and ask some much, much bigger questions about how our legal system is even supposed to work. Because the practical result of that day was nothing. Absolutely nothing. The hearing got postponed, the tax problem was never even discussed, and the fight is still completely unresolved. And this really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? It pushes us to ask a really tough question. When a legal fight becomes more about following the rules of the game than about finding out what's true, is it even possible to get real justice? And that's the big thought this whole courtroom drama leaves us with. It goes so far beyond just this one tax case. Are we actually building a system that delivers justice, or are we just getting completely lost and tangled up in the rules of the game? It makes you wonder if sometimes the very road we build to get to the truth just ends up blocking the view.